The next section we want to build is this infinite marquee that we have here. And by infinite marquee, we mean that we've got text that basically moves and scrolls, and it looks as if it's scrolling forever, although it is a bunch of text that is basically looping. So first, before we go ahead and build this, let's understand how the effect of infinity is actually created. So here in my keynote, I have a basic kind of setup that explains what's happening. So the gray area is the section. Inside of it, we've got this element that is called this is a marquee that has a certain size. In this case, it's taking up, the full width of the section. And next to it, there is an exact duplicate of this same marquee element in exactly the same size. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to animate both of them in the amount of the size of the marquee. So let's say right now the size of the marquee is 100% of the screen. So we're going to basically animate them 100%. That's basically going to move them all the way here. And when we get to this position, which the end position looks 100% like the beginning position, what we can do is we can just immediately jump to the starting position and run the animation again. And if this happens seamlessly, if we're not setting an easing, which means it starts up fast and ends slow. If this is a linear animation and always moves at the same size, this would actually look seamless because we're always moving, jumping to the early position and then moving again. So this is basically the animation that we want to try and build. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and create a new section here. Let's add another section. We'll call this marquee section. And this section is just going to have a little bit of padding top to bottom, not the usual one, because this is a smaller one, and it's going to have this line background. So that's the section itself. Inside of it, we're going to have the wrapper for this marquee, basically what we have here in red. So let's create a div that is going to be the marquee wrapper, and our size for this is going to be 100%. And let's start bringing in text inside. So let's just bring in a text block. And yeah, we do want this to be black. So let me change the text to black. And let's copy some of the text that we have here. So I'm going to copy this and paste this right here. I also, for the marquee wrapper, let's change what font size is this? It's H4, which is 32. We actually created a class, I think, for H4, if I remember correctly. That's right, we've got it. Okay, so we've got this text. Now we've got this separator here. So we can go ahead and create this separator. And let's select the marquee wrapper and turn it into a flex box that basically puts them one next to each other with a little bit of a gap. Something like this. And then we can copy this, and of course change the text based on what we have here. So now we basically have a flex element. Whoops. Undo. What? I didn't copy this text. Tech-driven comfort. Got it. Pre-order now. We've got this flex element with few elements within. Let's make this the last one. Let's duplicate this. Duplicate. Whoa. And move it beyond. So let's just reduce the spacing here just so that they all fit in within the view to begin with. Or actually, let's make sure that they are spaced between. Got it. Okay, so now no matter what the screen size is, they will always be spaced between. So that is good. And we actually most likely don't need the padding, maybe on smaller size screens. Okay, so we've got the first one. We've got the first marquee. Let's go ahead and bring in another marquee. So I'm just going to duplicate this and put it one. Right now it's below it, but we actually want it to stack exactly next to it. So this marquee section, let's go ahead and turn it into a flex. This is very similar to what we did with the horizontal scroll. We're turning this into a flex box. We're making sure that the marquees are not going to shrink, because right now both of them are the flex is trying to fit both of them on the screen. So for the marquee, do not resize it, do not shrink it. So now we've got them extending here. So of course we're going to go to the marquee section and set the overflow to hidden. And now the second one is basically waiting for us on the right side outside of the screen. Now we can go ahead and create the animation. So to do that, we actually create an interaction. It's not on the marquee section. It basically happens when the page loads. It happens all the time. So we're going to set this as a page load, and it's going to start, I guess, when the page finishes loading. And let's create a new animation. Let's call it marquee. And what we want to do is we want to animate the marquee wrapper and move it we want to move it in a duration of, let's say, 10 seconds, because we want this to be relatively slow. We're going to move it to minus 100%. So we completely move, but we don't see the other one, right? Because right now we're animating only this marquee wrapper, but I want this to affect both of them. So let's affect this class. And now both of them are going to animate at the same time. Now, when this animation finishes, we can see that they're animating. When this finishes, I also note that we've got the, I guess, two marquees too tight together. Maybe we want to space them out and give this marquee a little bit of heading inside so that they are spaced out. Okay, nice. Okay, let's go back into the interaction. And when the animation finishes after 10 seconds, all we want to do is move it. So let's duplicate this. Move it back to its original position, meaning 0, with a duration of 0, meaning it happens immediately. Okay, so let's save this. And now we can also select here looping animation, and that would basically loop it. So let's preview this. And let's wait a second and see if we notice when it jumps to the beginning. But actually, I think we don't notice. I think it's infinitely looping right now. Fantastic. Okay, so this is actually great. One thing we want to do is to maybe make sure that this looks good on tablet and mobile as well. And I can see that on smaller screen, this 100% here is cramming the text a little bit. So maybe 100% is not enough. Maybe on desktop, let's set this to 115%. And as we're going to tablet, let's move this to 200. Yeah, just make sure that always it has enough space to present all of the text in a single line. Let's do 300, maybe 250. And on mobile, this can be 350. No, 400. No, 500. Fantastic. And the animations should work seamlessly on all breakpoints because it doesn't really matter what the size of the marquee is. It's going to move it 100% no matter the size. And because they're both equal sizing, it's always going to work. So that's it. We've created this infinite marquee. It was rather simple. And I just want to say, it's always great for you to understand how these things set up. However, it's also great to use Webflow's resources. In the marketplace, you can find the made in Webflow, and there's tons of clonables to achieve a lot of these effects. Some of them actually come with a tutorial explaining the logic of how these work. For infinite marquees, by the way, there's so many clonables in different variations that sometimes it's actually easier to just clone something than go ahead and do it yourself. But it's always good to understand how to think creatively with Webflow's interaction. I'll see you in the next video.